Pokemon Discord version. Arc 1, Part 2, Demons Among Us. The smell of charred carcass fills the smoky, thick air as the bright glow of flames illuminates the surrounding area. Only seconds pass as he is in his father's presence, and Adonis already feels the helplessness creeping into his psyche as panic begins to wash over him. Adonis feels as if he is put in a state of dissociative awareness. It has been said that looking into the king's bright yellow eyes causes hysteria and uncertainty, inevitably losing the means to battle him with a cool head. Though none have tangled with the king and lived to tell the tale, it was as if the king had the ability to instantly intimidate and almost paralyze his prey with his piercing gaze, as most serpent-based creatures would do. "What is the meaning of this, Adonis?" Dallas asks his son angrily as he stares into Adonis' very soul for what seems like an eternity. Adonis stands in silence as he challenges his father's menacing and merciless gaze with his own, his face remaining confident and calm throughout the tense moments that pass. "Answer me!" he yells, reaching for Aegislash on his back. "Father, don't you see the hell you've led us to? Aren't you aware of the excessive violence and unbridled death that you have caused? The damage that we've done to the people of Agoria? The torment and devastation we have spread throughout the continent, while you sit on your throne and reap the benefits, never feeling the slightest remorse for what you do? You're nothing but a crooked, cowardly king, one who would rule with fear rather than legacy or compassion like my grandfather Eldridge. You turned me into a cruel monster, and then Agoria into a hellish wasteland. I know it's too late for you, but I can still make this right. I will put a stop to you and your tyranny, putting an indefinite end to the cold era. Don't you see, Father? There is beauty and peace in this world, peace that exists within the fabrics of humanity, peace that you continue to exile with every step you take. It is time for a permanent change, Father. I will bring true order and peace to this world, and repent for the sins you've guided me to commit," Adonis said, almost out of breath as his father let him finish. "Stupid boy! You were supposed to carry out my will as ruler of the Supreme Faction!" Dallas explodes with anger, removing his cloak as it slides off of his shoulders onto the rooftop floor. "A traitorous dog like you has no right to continue breathing in this world I allow you to inhabit. This world belongs to Team Rocket. Team Rocket belongs to me. So don't you see, my son? You, along with every other crawling maggot in this world, are my possessions. This world is mine. All of it. Pokemon, people, and deities alike. Everything will bow down to my supreme rule and mine alone. You have proven yourself to be unworthy of my throne, Adonis. You will die here today, my son. You shall die at the end of my blade, just like your deceptive whore of a mother." Flashes back to his mother's face. Adonis, now stunned by the revealing truth behind his mother's death when he was only a child, is tormented and flooded with more dangerous emotion than ever before. Dallas laughs towards the sky as he works himself into a frenzy, mad with power. "This is the end for you, my son!" Dallas holds a purple monster capsule in his hand that begins to glow with a horrendously deranged and powerful aura. "Mewtwo! Erase him from this plane and deliver his soul to the Dark Lord Giratina!" he yells as he summons his genetically enhanced extraterrestrial-looking Pokemon, that which he, alongside the head science engineers, artificially created. This man single-handedly brought true evil through science and nature. Adonis' thoughts. This is the fabled creature known as Mewtwo, created by replicating the DNA of the legendary Pokemon of origin, Mew. This won't be easy, but I will not allow Agoria to suffer any longer. I'll do whatever it takes. Crash! A beam of destructive energy is released from the blasphemous being. Adonis just barely dodging the attack with a swift right side diagonal flip. The rooftop split and charred where the attack landed, as it cracked about a quarter of the way, leaving limited solid ground to stand on for the combatants. Don't you see, Adonis? It's hopeless to oppose me. Unfortunately for you, you've already made your choice. Yeah! Zalus yells out as he lunges forward, wielding his Aegis-Slash, attempting a devastating strike. Adonis crosses Doublade into an X shape, just barely blocking the attack, catching his father's Phantom Blade. As their steel continues to clash back to back at dangerously high speeds, sparks ignite and scatter throughout. You are not worthy of the Phantom Blades you wield. You are never worthy of the contract, Adonis, the king says as he presses down his giant ghostly blade with more and more pressure. The storms continue swirling rapidly in every direction. Adonis struggles. No, father. You're the one who's unworthy! Clash. Shing! He breaks their intense lock-in, releasing and dodging the king's downward strike he had blocked. He then takes 2 steps up the king's Aegis-Slash and flips backwards, kicking off of Zalus' face, and plants a solid landing with an almost shinobi-like esque. Mewtwo! Zalus calls to his Mewtwo for backup, as it then administers a second Psy Wave, rapidly sending Adonis flying backwards off of the building. Adonis quickly uses ghostly energies from his Doublade to air hike, leaping back towards the building's edge. He catches himself with one hand and lifts himself up, only to find his father grabbing him by the throat, holding him over the edge. Very impressive, Adonis. I taught you well. You certainly show promise amongst all else. However, today, you have forsaken our clan and sullied the honorable name Team Rocket. He tightens his grip around his son's throat. I hereby banish you from this realm and reclaim the soul I bestowed upon you when I brought you into this dimension, my son. A still moment of silence shudders down Adonis' spine. He smirks with confidence. Shadow. Force! He mutters. Slice. Echoes. Ah! The king yells out in agony. Doublade emerges from its own pocket dimension with a clean slice to the king's forearm, severing it completely. My arm! The king's blood falls with an agonizing splatter as he takes 2 steps backwards, giving Adonis the upper hand. The slice from Doublade was fast enough to say it was operating at least Mach 1 of movement speed. It was so fast, it cauterized the wound instantly, preventing the king from bleeding out. Adonis grabs the Doublades as he gets himself into a solid stance, landing swiftly in place on the remaining sections of the tall building's roof. Mewtwo! End him! Zalus jumps backwards out of the way as Mewtwo takes aim and fires a massive black and violet swirling ball of energy on a path to decimate the prince with coursing darkness, that which no mortal could easily withstand. His power, it's unreal. Almost completely drained of his energy, Adonis feels hopeless as the attack closes in. He shuts his eyes, flashes back through memories, Adonis' thoughts. It's over. This is the end. I'm sorry, Mother. I wasn't strong enough to avenge you. As Adonis accepts his daunting fate, the air is filled with an ominous glow that illuminates the area. As he opened his eyes, his Doublade had evolved into Aegis-Slash, additionally protecting him from Mewtwo's unavoidable attack using the move King's Shield. Adonis gazed with tears in his eyes at his Pokemon partner in its brand new form. He knew in these moments every bit of effort would count. The time to act is now, Adonis says to himself, wielding Aegis-Slash with black fire bursting from his cloak, ready to assist him along with the floating shield of Aegis-Slash. Unlike his father's Phantom Blade, Adonis' Aegis-Slash had a different coloration that consisted of a black and red rather than the traditional silver and purple. It was time to avenge all those lost in the agony he and his father had created. As he grabs the hilt of his new Pokemon partner, the ancient texts that had been inscripted on Adonis' skin upon receiving the Phantom Blade began to light up with an ominous golden glow. Yeah! Adonis swings the fully evolved Phantom Blade, releasing radiating energies from his energy network, replenishing what power he could in order to reverse the situation as effectively as possible. This also made his eyes shine a brighter crimson than ever before. His cloak started to look almost like it was breathing, as it was a part of the same cloth as his Aegislash had wrapped around its master's arm for maximum binding. His cloak, that now appeared to be alive, then ignited with a dark glow. It had the appearance of black flames that danced around the prince, as Aegislash's shield hovered, ready to assist Adonis on its own accord. His fiery cloak stood outward and resembled burning black angel wings. What? Impossible! Zalus shouts angrily at the top of his lungs. Your resistance is most certainly annoying, Adonis. You insignificant little shit! I shall send you to where your dear mother is, in the distortion realm, where all of the trash can be together for eternity! Die! He and Mewtwo striking back to back over and over in an unrelenting clash against Adonis and Aegislash, leaving only minimal openings for anyone to advance. Adonis uses his cloak to lightning jump a great distance, getting enough space between him and his adversaries. Flash! Cannon! Adonis unleashed a solid burst of massive metallic energies, administered by the realm-breaking swing of the Phantom Blade. Hitting Mewtwo with unrelenting power, the attack knocks it out of the air and stuns it temporarily, giving Adonis some headway for an opportunity to go for the one-armed Demon King. Zalus and Adonis clash with the destructive force of angels and devils. The twisting storm cracked loud, thunder and lightning around the battle between father and son. You will die here, my son, said Zalus, Adonis' cloak dancing and twisting with black flames as the battle rages on like the clashing of heaven and hell. Zalus, having one arm, made little difference in his skill with the Phantom Blade. I can only hope the gods witness as I exterminate the filth from this existence. I shall make an example of you, Adonis. An example of a disgraceful martyr. I am God! The prophecy spoke only of Lord Zalus Nova, the transcending savior of this poor, demented world, desperate for eternal purification. The king exclaimed loudly as thunder crashed violently with his words. Adonis realized Mewtwo was no longer stunned and was coming back to rejoin its master in combat. Adonis blocks an oncoming attack from Zalus, then hook kicks the king in desperation, for it was hopeless to try and fight Mewtwo and his father together. Zalus flies back, knocking him down, giving Adonis time to charge his next move. Phantom Force! Adonis and Aegislash vanish instantly. As the Mewtwo floats towards the battle, it is met with Adonis' blade as he reappears directly adjacent to Mewtwo. Sacred Sword! Echoes, slicing upward diagonally, leaving a giant wound in Mewtwo's torso, bringing it down with a mighty crash. Adonis lands near Mewtwo, desperately rushing to cover to recharge his energies, for he had used almost every bit of it with those last attacks. Adonis' thoughts. Mewtwo's down for now, but it's not finished yet. I can't risk killing it now. I need to recharge. He finds somewhere to take cover for the moment. Where are you, Adonis? Come out and die like the coward you are! Zalus shows no compassion for his severely damaged Pokemon partner. Show yourself, you abomination! He limps as he searches frantically on a warpath to murder his son in cold blood. Zalus stops and looks over his shoulder. He knows he isn't alone. Shadow Force! Adonis appears from thin air and strikes at the king's back. The king swings his blade, rendering Adonis' ambush unsuccessful. He is then slung against the side of a building with serious velocity. Adonis is on his last legs, with his energy almost completely diminished from having defeated Mewtwo. The king was far from being finished. Zalus laughs maniacally as he rushes Adonis' blade first, but is unsuccessful as Adonis' phantom shield quickly appears and deflects the king's attack. Damn you! Zalus yells as he attempts another strike just as quickly. Before the king's strike was able to reach Adonis, his burning cloak catches the blade and wraps around the king's wrist, causing even more severe damage to King Zalus that to him felt like frostbite even though he was touched with black flames. The king was furious at this point, though he knew Adonis was out of options and would not be able to stop his next attack. Heartbeat. Stab. Heartbeat. Slice. Echoes. No! No! Clean. Adonis drops Aegislash as the king's phantom blade is plunged through his chest, hitting him against the wall of the tower. Wind rushes as everything is silent for a single moment of disheartening stillness. Did you really think you could make a difference, Adonis? Did you really think even for a second you could stop my reign of purification? Zalus pulls his blade from his son's chest with a cringingly eerie slice that seemed like it caused a reverberation across the whole town. Adonis, coughing up blood, falls to the ground at the king's feet. The king kicks his son repeatedly while he bleeds out on the ground beneath him. Adonis' vision begins to blur as he realizes that life has already begun to leave his essence, and his power has run out as well as his time. He tries to pick himself up as his mind flashes back to the same memories and images of his past he encountered earlier. I'm not finished yet, Adonis says weakly. He struggles to move as his father kicks him again and again, laughing like a deranged madman. You, kick, were never worthy, kick, of my throne, kick. You insignificant filth! Kick, kick, kick. Kick. Over and over, Adonis is kicked to the ground, struggling to get up, just to be kicked back down into the pool of his own blood. Aegislash is now completely drained of energy, and Adonis has accepted that they would soon meet their end. Zalus finally stopped kicking as Adonis' body ceases all movement except for faint breathing. Adonis smiled, covered in his own blood. Zalus is in shock that his son, mutilated and beaten almost to death, can still act so smug. Even if you kill me here today, there will be others. Someone else will rise up in my place, Father. Your reign of purification will meet its inevitable end. You're nothing but a foolish coward, no better than a pitiful bandit, Adonis says with his final breath. Mother, are you watching? Adonis smiles. Infuriated, King Zalus lifts the phantom blade. Goodbye, my son, you delusional, pathetic, unworthy fool! Stab. Zalus bursts with laughter as he slaughters his only son, impaling him through his back, separating his spine, ensuring an instant but horrendous death. Stab! 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 The flames of Adonis' cloak slowly begin to fade. He continues stabbing Adonis over and over with wet, plunging thrusts every time the blade enters his back, laughing as he does it. Then, finally, with one last heel kick delivered to Adonis' head, his face caves in to the back of his skull with a brutal and sickening cracking sound. Prince Adonis has been defeated. As his body lies lifeless, the king continues to mutilate and beat the corpse of his son in a victorious triumph. Rumble, rumble, eerie high-pitched ringing. Suddenly the air has shifted. Ah! What is this? The king quickly covers his bleeding ears as a high-pitched tone cuts through the entire town. A beam of heavy light completely blinds Zalis and begins to emit burning laser-like beams that shoot off in every direction, seeming to come from his son's bloody, mutilated body. It cannot be! No! This isn't real! Alma! Zalis throws a smoke signal bomb, requesting a chopper extraction. No! You aren't supposed to be alive! You aren't real! Stay back! Stay back! The light forming around Adonis's remains takes on a familiar form to Zalis, one that he dreaded seeing more than anything. As the chopper zeroes in on the king's location, it's now within earshot of Zalis. Terrified, he begins to retreat and run from the entity coated in light. It extends its arms out towards Zalis as if it is waiting to be embraced by him. The entity was a grotesque, mutilated cadaver, with its bottom jaw completely missing and its face woefully unrecognizable, similar to how Adonis currently looked in the condition Zalis left him in. Hurry, you fool! The king yells out to the chopper in desperation. It lands and Zalis is seconds away from safety when the entity catches the king, wrapping burning light energy around his ankle like tentacles, pulling him back. No! Let go of me, you disgusting creature! He yells as he suffers burns that feel almost like hellfire has touched him. High-pitched screech. The screeching of this banshee-like creature shakes the chopper around in the air as it yells eerily and pulls the king back into a vortex the entity was creating. Alma! Let me go! Let me go, you miserable wretch! The king desperately yelled to the ghostly entity. Pidgeot! Use air cutter! Damascus's Pidgeot darts from the helicopter and frees the king from the spirit's grasp. Your Majesty! Damascus reaches from the chopper towards the king, grabbing his wrist. Damascus, pull harder, you ignorant fool! The king yelled at his advisor, who even despite being treated terribly, still remained loyal to his king. He heaved and pulled with all of his might. He was finally able to get the king aboard safely, though the king sustained many burns and other heavy damage that would leave him permanently scarred. Your Majesty, what was that astral spirit just now? I have never in my travels seen anything like it. Damascus asked Zalis. Though Zalis offered no response, he sat down and took one last look at the entity. What? He yells in dismay. As he gazes from the chopper, the spirit looks completely different, as if it took on a different form upon interaction. That creature! Before it looked like Alma! Its form is completely different now! Damascus's thoughts. Alma? That's His Majesty's deceased wife. How is that possible? My liege, that isn't possible. Queen Alma has been dead for many years now. Do you not remember the accident? He reminded his king. Enough, Damascus! The king interrupted. I know what I saw. Let's just focus on my wounds and get that fool of a pilot to make haste. Of course, Your Majesty, Damascus replied as he signaled for the pilot to step on it. Zalis' thoughts. How is that possible? Was I hallucinating? What was that other form it took on afterwards? It looked like a Pokemon. Or at least the shed skin of one. At least this fool Damascus still thinks Alma's death was an accident. As long as he believes that, so will everyone else. And more importantly, those dim-witted elders from within the Citadel. He thinks to himself as Damascus dresses his wounds until they can make it back to Team Rocket HQ. Overall, the King's mission was successful. However, the loss that Team Rocket sustained was as unexpected as it was devastating. Though his entire empire believed the King defeated the Light and triumphed in the name of Team Rocket, Zalis does not consider this a victory by any means. According to anonymous sources all over Agoria, King Zalus has declared Sector 66, Hollowtown, condemned and off limits to all civilizations. Civilians were uninformed of what happened that day in Sector 66. Because of this, Team Rocket has built a sturdy wall bordering the Eerie Acres and has constant grunt patrol surrounding their structure. Any civilian caught near the wall is usually killed on sight or worse. From now on, it'll be near impossible to enter or exit this forest of death. The details of what happened to Adonis's Alpha team have been hidden from the general public by order of King Zalus and the Team Rocket Citadel, TRC law. Furthermore, Prince Adonis and his Alpha team went down in Team Rocket history as loyal patrons and heroes who defeated the Light, an organization that threatened the very foundation of what Team Rocket was built upon. As far as the TRC is concerned, these vigilant heroes gave their lives to protect their clan and faction and will be honored as such to inspire all future generations to come.